welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Tiemann. This is the award-winning Fan Show. That's right, everyone's a fan of something, and we have something for every fan, including everything that we didn't get to yesterday, we will get to today. I'm confident in that, including some National Arena League talk, some Indoor Football League talk, including my special guest this evening, Daquan Neal, our reigning and now three-time outstanding offensive player of the week. First time that we've had a three-time outstanding player of the week. In fact, hasn't been done at any other position or any other aspect of the game, I should say, offensive, defensive, or special teams. We've had one two-time outstanding defensive player of the week, and that was Dylan Winfrey of the Arizona Rattlers. In fact, he did it back-to-back. Same with Daquan Neal when he earned his first two outstanding players of the week. He did those back-to-back, two great performances. But then this week, I looked at the numbers, I crunched them like I do, and there were, it was close. This was probably one of the closer calls as far as outstanding players of the week go. And, you know, I saw who the league named theirs, and I'm not going to disagree. I was 2 of 3. How about that? 2 of 3. I've never been 3 of 3. In fact, there was one time I think we had all three were completely different. But I was 2 of 3 as far as my picks and what their picks were, but we differed on the offensive one. I picked Daquan Neal. They picked John Gibbs. And it makes sense. It really does. The numbers weren't there, in my opinion, but obviously the performance was. It was a big win for the Bucks, their first home win of the season after starting out 0-6. They got a win on the road and now won back-to-back wins, and they got one at home. So it makes sense. It wasn't how I would pick it, but I understand it, and I think that's the important thing. So props to those guys. In case you missed it, our outstanding players of the week, Daquan Neal on the offense, Trayvon Williams of the defense. 2 Barnstormers got the nod this week. Not the first time a team has gotten more than one aspect of the game for the outstanding player of the week. Arizona's done it once or twice, maybe. And then special teams, Eric Thomas. There was really, you know, I'll go through all the offensive stats, the defensive stats, and the special teams, and it's either a kicker or a kick returner, right? And usually if a kicker is perfect, I tend to give the nod to them because that's not easy to do in this. It does need to be perfect to an extent. They can't have 9 of 9 extra points but no field goal attempts. Then it's just they're doing their job but not like outstanding. Okay, you follow me? So when I looked at the stats, I mean, Diego Marquez had a great game, so it was going to be a danger player either way, especially given that Diego Marquez was dismissed from Tucson and then found a home in Nebraska. But Eric Thomas, man, his stats were amazing, especially having not only a kick return for a touchdown, but a field goal attempt returned for a touchdown. And he made the Fan Show Top 10 with both of those. In case you missed it, Fan Show Top 10 is back and better than ever. And it is available on the Facebook, it's available on the Instagram, it's available on Twitter, and you don't see the last 3 plays, the top 3 on the Twitter, but the link to our YouTube channel is there where you can see the video in its entirety. So it's available all over the place. You just got to pick whatever flavor works for you. And hello, Adam. Hello, Derek. Hello, guys, joining me on the Facebook Live. Good to see you guys. We're actually going to talk NFL draft here in the headlines, which I kind of dabbled with a little bit last night. But I decided to talk more about it this evening with a special feature called Some Food for Thought. And it's my personal feelings about the draft and how even not caring about the draft, how that in turn has an effect on the draft and players that get drafted or don't get drafted at all. So we're going to have a good conversation tonight. So with that, let's go ahead and get right to it. Let's get to today's headlines. That's right, I found my glasses, so we're good now. No need for the sunglasses this evening. I have my regular specs on, and headlines, of course, brought to you by the guys that make great stuff like stickers. They make t-shirts, not this one, but I am sporting my Bloodsport shirt that I got while I was at the BattleBots taping. And They're great guys. They got a good team. Griffin Tabor, he's one of the guys. We've been friends since last season, and he was kind enough to give me a shirt. We swapped shirts, did that a lot. So you'll probably see me wearing a lot of different random shirts of the different teams and bots at this season's Battle Bots. Bloodsport is one of them. Looks great. I love red. I love red and black. Great color combination, Bloodsport. Anyway, so they can make shirts like this. They can make hats, beanies, polos, jackets. They can make awards. They can make cool novelty stuff like the Green Bay flask I have. They didn't make that, but they could if they wanted to. And really, if you need them for anything. In fact, Derek is in the chat right now. He's one of the he's the president of the North Idaho 49ers F.A.N Faithful chapter. So he's president of the 49ers Faithful North Idaho chapter. There, that's the proper way to say it. We got it. It might have taken us the back roads, but we got there. So they actually had some shirts and stickers made and hats through Dynamite Enterprises per my recommendation. I said, if you guys want to get merch for your group, Ethan's got to be the one to do it. And so he got him a great deal. I saw them. I don't have one yet. I don't have a sticker, a shirt, or a hat yet, but they look great. So if you guys need anything for marketing, promotional, or other, you need to go to dynamiteenterprises.com or visit or hit up Ethan directly, Ethan at dynamiteenterprises.com, and just tell him that I sent you. There's already been talks of a few other groups and people saying that if they get shirts done, that it needs to be done through me, through Ethan, essentially in Dynamite Enterprises, because they have one of my shirts and they know that it's fantastic quality and I stand behind my product and I'll never steer you guys wrong. And we're going to look at doing some more merch, obviously, in the coming months. So, Dynamite Enterprises. Okay, headlines. Real quick, let's touch base with who's in the comments right now. Adam says, the F.A.N show, now with 45% less calories than your regular podcast. Yeah, but a little bit more in the salt. There's a little bit more salt content in the F.A.N show these days. There's some salty comments out there, man. I don't understand, and I posted this on Facebook last night. I don't understand why you would waste the energy on liking a page just to troll that page. I mean, is your life really that unfulfilling, that boring, that you would need to actually go and I say that knowing that, sure, there's tweets from people that I don't like that show up in my feed because people will retweet or like them, and that'll show up as a result. Am I friends with those people? Yeah, maybe, and we could differ on that. But for Facebook, like you have to have liked the page in order to see things coming from that page as far as new posts and pop-ups. And there's been a few people lately that I know have liked it, and I checked to see if they did, and they have liked the show's page, but there's been nothing constructive or positive from these people, and it blows my mind. It really does. It's like your life must be that miserable that you will like something just to dislike it. And I'll admit, I've been there before. There was a time where I was feeling especially spiteful, and when Pandora was a big thing, I went and created a Nickelback playlist, and then disliked, thumbs down every Nickelback song that came on there. Like, I'd be listening to a song, and then all of a sudden it's like, next up, it's like, never made it as a wise man. Nope. What do you think you're doing, Pandora? So sometimes you just get in a mood. You know, I get it. But, even I have my limits, so it's funny to me. That's all I'm saying. It's cute. Really, it's cute. You guys are cute. Adam also said, New York Giants, how can we make people even more confused? Let's pick QB from Duke at 6. That is so true. The internet's undefeated, man. There were some great posts I saw after that pick. Great posts. It really was. Yes, they make Grumpy Bear look cheerful. They really do. So my thoughts on the draft are this, and that is that I don't put a lot of energy into the draft. I get the draft. I understand it's how we break up what is normally a 6 months out of the year thing, being football regular season, into a year-long phenomenon, and that's what football has become. There's countdowns on the NFL's website to literally every aspect of what the NFL is, of their season on or off season. And that is the countdown to preseason, the countdown to kickoff, the countdown to the Super Bowl, the countdown to the Combine, and the countdown I think free agency, then the combine, and then, of course, the countdown to the draft. So now that the draft is over, we're back onto the countdown to probably OTAs and minicamp. Like, they have done this. They have mastered the art of giving us just enough to get by. It's like a drug. It really is. Just enough to get by to that next thing. It's just like, okay, we got the draft. I got my fix. Got the draft. Okay, we're good. Oh, crap. It's been 2 days? What's next? What's next? OTAs? How long? How long until OTAs? I don't... Okay. Yeah, it's crazy. It really is. But they've mastered it. It's a beautiful thing that the NFL has been able to do with their product. But my thoughts on the draft are this, and that is that although I don't personally put a lot of energy in it because I don't believe in putting all your chips to the center on drafting a quarterback in the first round or the number 1 overall. I mean, they showed the number 1 overall pick from the last 16 years, and I think of all of them, maybe 5, maybe 6 or 7. I'll go so far as to say 8. So half of them were noteworthy, and of those 8, maybe 5 had actually had what you would consider a notable career. And of course, Eli Manning was one, but you're kind of on the fence there. He's won 2 Super Bowls, but he's like, how has he won 2 Super Bowls? You know, he's not his brother. But it was funny to me. Tom Brady got taken so late, and then of course, when you look at Seattle, they put together this ragtag group of misfits that took them to their first Super Bowl title, and then they went right back the next year and lost to the Patriots. But I think that the draft is it's fuel for everyone involved, no matter how, and it's how you use it that's important. So the draft, to me, if you're a guy that thinks that you should be taken in the first round and you fall to number 3, you fall to the third round, are you going to use that as fuel? A lot of people, Josh Rosen's been the talk of the town, his relationship with the Cardinals, and now he's a Miami Dolphin, and he's got this big chip on his shoulder. But, I mean, if Russell Wilson was taken in the first round, would he have been the same Russell Wilson? If Tom Brady was taken any earlier, would he have been the same Tom Brady? I just feel like there's a lot of guys that will use being taken later than what they believe that their value is as fuel for their NFL career fire. And then there's guys that, it's like, let's stroke that ego a little more, that get taken in the top 5, and then they can't handle it. There's so much expectations, there's so much weight on the shoulders that they crumble under the pressure, and then they're dubbed as a bust. So I think that in the world of sports, especially football, everything is almost a catalyst to another thing. So the draft, I don't care about it, but enough people care about it that it matters in some way. It's a domino that has to fall in order for the rest of them to in turn fall. So I don't put much energy into it because I remember back in 2005 our number 1 overall pick was Alex Smith, and everybody thought he was a bust. And then sure enough, you give a man some consistency in his life, i.e. the same offensive coordinator and head coach back-to-back years, and he finally made something of himself. Game manager or not, I thought Alex Smith really came into his own during that Harbaugh stretch, and he was dealt a really bad hand with the whole Colin Kaepernick thing. I don't feel like it was anything that he did wrong or didn't do enough. It was just that Kaepernick was the flavor of that week, and Harbaugh went with the hot hand. And Alex went to Kansas City, and then sure enough, they draft Patrick Mahomes. And it's like the story repeats itself. So when it comes to the draft, when it comes to the combine, everything has an effect on somebody, and it leads to something else. And so when I do a podcast, I could say that I think that this guy is trash or crap or whatever, and there's no guarantee that he's listening. And maybe up until that point he was, but he heard my comments and said, I'm going to prove this guy wrong, and then he goes out and he makes an extra effort. So if you're following what I'm saying, if you guys think that the draft is amazing, if it's like you get together and you celebrate and you have a party for the draft, that's great. But if you don't care about the draft and you think that it's just, this overhyped day of picking players that there's no guarantee they're going to work out or not because we're being told how good they are by the so-called experts, everything has a way of working itself out. And for me, I think that's a beautiful thing. That's another amazing thing about the sport of football is when you can have guys that are supposed to be picked in the first round, they get overlooked and they get picked in the third round, or maybe they don't get picked at all and they're an undrafted free agent, and then they go and they make a name for themselves that year with the team that does pick them up. I mean, would that have happened if it wasn't for them not getting picked at the draft? Food for thought. Your guys' thoughts. If you're in the chat right now, go ahead and tell me what you think about the draft and really anything else in the world of sports as far as they say don't listen to the white noise that is the critics and the analysts, but you know deep down that somebody will retweet or tag somebody in something that might be some harsh criticism, and it's up to them to do with it what they may. Will they use it as fuel, or will they just brush it off and keep going, or will they let it like seep in and get to them and ultimately cripple them? Your thoughts on that, guys. I'm curious to see what you guys think. And as we move on here, well, you guys are thinking about that. I see James has jumped in here. Hey, James. We had the NAL week number 3. I have the standings right here. After 3 weeks of play, there's only been 2 teams that have played all 3, the Pirates and the Predators. So the standings as of right now are the Carolina Cobras at 2-0. Both wins over the Pirates, convincing wins. And then the next 2-0 is the New York Streets. How crazy is that? The New York Streets, the expansion team, and it feels like we saw this with the IFL too, with Tucson and San Diego. You have the Streets and the Predators. Predators aren't an expansion team, but they were on a bit of a hiatus, and so here they're back. They're 1-2 though. They're 1-2. Sharks are 1-1. Pirates 1-2. Lions 0-2. Lions were in the championship game last year against Carolina. They got blown out. It was 66-8, but they also did so without the help of their otherwise starting quarterback, and that was Espinoza. So you wonder, what could have been, what would have been. I don't know if the ultimate outcome would have been any different, but you wonder if at least maybe the score was. How much did his absence affect the morale on the sideline? Again, we're talking about things that you may not think twice about, but if you take that out, how much does that change everything else? What's the ripple? Adam says, don't listen to the unholy trio of terror, Stephen A., Bayless, or Cowherd. I don't see a point. But what I mean is, though, is even if you don't, listen to them, you don't tune into those guys, if somebody retweets and tags you saying, hey, man, Cowherd had this to say about you, you almost have to listen to it, right? You almost have to go and be like, okay, what'd he say? And then it's up to you to do with that what you choose to do with that. But yes, Adam, I agree with you on that. You and I seem to really line up as far as who we think is good or bad when it comes to the the voices, the trio of terror. And I'm getting... Stop being... Why are you the way that you are, microphone? Anyway, so we got Daquan Neal coming up. I think that it's a pretty good start for the NAL season. There's only one team that's winless right now. For the IFL, we had 2 teams that went multiple weeks without before they got their first wins. And now we've even got one of those teams that's won back-to-back games. So that's great for them. In other news, All-Star Bass Fishing, their Bass Battles Championship will be this weekend. First home game of the Spokane Wolfpack will be this Saturday. Kickoff is at 5 p.m., and that is at the Pine Bowl at Whitworth. If you're in the area, I will be making the call on that game. I'll be both PA as well as play-by-play, so that should be fun. That should be interesting. I said I'm going to call this like they would baseball, which is essentially the 2 jobs rolled into one. And I know it's supposed to be a little bit different for football, but that's all right by me. There's no rule that says that you can't. And this is semi-pro ball, so I'm going to kind of make it my thing. And I'm very excited for the opportunity. And robotics. Paul Ventimiglia, who was last year's champion, who I got to see compete again this year, he actually lost his sister. Tragic accident. And he still competed. It happened the day that they were packed up and ready to go and set up shop in the pit, and he didn't tell anybody until they got back from the taping and made the post. And he actually reached out to me and he said that he wanted to thank me for keeping him entertained in the pit. He's a great guy, he really is, at least in my opinion. Some people don't like him, but there's a tendency to not like people that are very good at what they do and successful. So we'll see how his season goes. I don't know if in his mind if he dedicated his season to his sister or not, but I guess we'll have to see when it airs June 7th, a new season of BattleBots. In wrestling, Mox. Mox is the name, M-O-X. Dean Ambrose's new persona is with All Elite Wrestling. I believe that's what I saw on social media. And we have Money in the Bank coming up. And in music, let's see, I talked about Back to the Beach Fest yesterday. Pop culture. I just watched the final of Gotham. I thought it could have maybe gone for one more season, but they did a nice little time jump, and they kind of wrapped everything up, so that was entertaining. Endgame, of course, still, man, I'll see clips now that show up on Twitter, and I watch, and I still get so many of the emotions. I might go see it again this weekend. That might be something to do after the game. After the Wolfpack game. And then, of course, we have a whole slate of IFL, NAL action coming up. We will have new power rankings tonight. There's a new fan show top 10 that is on the Facebook page, and give that a like and a share, and, of course, watch it. Let's see. James, a few comments from you. Sorry, good sir. Let's see here. James says, as much as I hate Duke, I wish Jones good luck. He said Lions suck bad this year. They kind of do. And James, you're one who follows the NAL religiously. What do you think is the issue with the 2019 Columbus Lions? And can they turn it around? Will they turn it around? We'll see what James has to say on that. Adam says the mic is possessed. Yeah, it is. It stopped humming, though, so that's nice of it to do. Let's see. Need to wear NWO Wolfpack shirt. If I had one, I'd love to wear it. But I'll probably do a Wolfpack shirt with my sport jacket. That's usually how I kind of dress down for the occasion. Always got to have the sport jacket. Yes, John Moxley returns. And then let's see here. Yeah, QB. I agree with you on that one. It does come down to the quarterback, which is funny because Daquan Neal and I talk about how important it is to have a QB that may not be a leader when it comes to the pregame speeches, but he is a leader by example out on the field. You'll hear in our interview, he says, I'm not a guy to lead verbally, to speak leadership. He's like, I'm a guy that will go out there and has a job to do, and I will do my job. And that is in essence, that is speak of a true leader. That's leader speak right there from Daquan Neal. So sky's the limit for this kid. I said, if a league like the NFL or the CFL or the AFL isn't paying attention to this guy, they're missing out. It's been very entertaining football. And I know that people are upset because I picked him as my player of the week, and there was that controversial no call at the end of the game against Tucson. And it's like, even without that touchdown, he still had one of the best performances of the week. He goes, okay, so he has 6 touchdowns instead of 7. Like, why are we criticizing a guy who's not the referee? A guy who just plays for a team. And he probably didn't even see the hold, man. He probably was just like, I've got green and I'm going. And he was into the end zone. But look, for those of you that are upset or dare I say butthurt about my pick for certain players of the week, this being one of them, Adam raised a very good question. And I will 100% back it and say that I raised this question. How do you blame the outcome of a game on one no call, which in sports happens all the time, but yet you ignore the fact that your team blew a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter? Food for thought? Possibly! We'll see. All right. Now that the pot has been successfully stirred, we will go ahead and resume this program on Spreaker.com/user/the-fan-show for my one-on-one with Daquan Neal. Watch for the power rankings tonight. A new set for the IFL. Might have been some shifts, some movements. Where did Bismarck land? I think is the big question right now. They're on back-to-back wins, an away and a home, and that home was in a big way. It was a good week in the IFL, it really was. And I'm curious to see what happens with the Predators, who won in their opener. Granted, that was against the Lions, and now have dropped 2. But the Pirates, who got a win, Sharks 1-1, but Lions, man, 0-2. 0-2. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Cobras and Streets. So which is the biggest surprise? The Streets at 2-0 or the Lions at 0-2? There's another question for you guys. Let's see here. Yeah, this ain't golf where you call your fouls. No, you don't. You don't. And Adam's like, oh snap, that one was for you, Adam. That one was for you. I will take full responsibility for it too, by all means, because it needed to be said. It really did. It needed to be said. Like Facebook posts I make about fans that have elitist mentalities. It needs to be said sometimes. So go ahead and kick it over. We've got a chat feature on there as well. The Spreaker website has a chat feature, and that is where we will have my interview and the continuation and conclusion of tonight's episode 409. Giddy up 409. We've got Daquan Neal coming up right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me now is the Fan Show Outstanding Offensive Player of the Week. In fact, our first ever 3-time Outstanding Offensive Player of any position. The offense, defense, or special teams. Quarterback of the Iowa Barnstormers, Daquan Neal. Welcome to the show. Daquan, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. Been a while since we had our first chat after the home opener, you guys in the Green Bay Blizzard, and it seems like, well, not much has changed. You guys are still finding ways to win, and probably one of the biggest wins that you guys had was this last week against Tucson, and I gotta say, incredible performance, both sides of the ball, offense, defense. You, of course, stood out on the offensive side. I mean, what's the mood like at halftime when you guys are on the road again, which you guys have been on the road a lot this year, and you guys are down and you're trying to find the way to make the adjustments and come back swinging? Like, what's Dixie telling you guys at halftime?
I mean, basically everybody knew like we were down because we was killing ourselves. So I mean, it was just a lot of mental mistakes, you know. So we went in halftime, we corrected what we had to correct, and then you know, when we came out in the second half, we knew that we had to put some drives together, and defense had to get stops, and that's what we did, and that's how we played the game out.
Yeah, you guys have really had some unfortunate events happen on the offense, losing Sam Charles early on in the season. Connor Hollenbeck, of course, he was gone. He went to try out with the AFL. He is now back. But you guys have had some adversity, and it's one thing for your defense or even special teams to get a stop or get the ball back. It's another thing for you guys to make the most of it and turn it into a drive. How good does it feel to know that you've got some of the best playmakers in the league on your side, on your team, in Connor Hollenbeck and Ryan Ballantyne?
You know, it's definitely a solid relief when you got Connor and you got Ryan at the receiver spot. You know, I feel like any position that I'm in, you know, I can always get bailed out because I got them receiving the ball. And then we also got Derek, who's been doing pretty good lately. And then, of course, the offensive line, you know, they've been keeping me upright. So, you know, we got every piece of the puzzle that we need on offense. And, yeah, I feel like we got one of the best offenses in the league. And fourth quarter, that showed in Tucson.
Yeah, Tucson was a fun game to watch. I know that you guys probably weren't having too much fun at the beginning there. But, you know, I say that every game where there's a comeback or a big, you know, change of pace, you know, whether it's the team that was chasing points, now all of a sudden they're the ones being chased, or there's got to be a series of events to happen in order for the team that's been trailing the whole time to now all of a sudden make a comeback. And for you guys, I pinned it right on that blocked field goal, which was huge. B.J. Butler got through, got his hand up there, blocked it, and then Trayvon Williams scooped it up and got into the end zone. It seemed like it was all downhill from there for you guys because that was the first time that you guys had taken the lead all game. And now it's like Tucson is trying to play catch up. I mean, when plays like that happen and you're on the sideline watching it unfold, I mean, do you just shift into fifth gear now because you know that it's in your hands what the outcome of this game is going to be?
I mean, we were already, you know, had our foot on the gas because we was down, 17 points. So, you know, offense, we knew we had to put points on the board. You know, defense, they had a rough time Saturday, but at the end of the day, that's why we play both sides of the ball. And, when Trayvon BJ blocked the field goal, and then Trayvon picked it up for the squad, I knew after that was it. I felt like all we needed was one stop, and that's the stop that we needed.
Yeah, it's crazy how one play can change the entire landscape of the game, and maybe even the league, depending on how the rest of it looks, which you guys are sitting pretty. You're obviously in control of your own destiny right now. Now, of course, Arizona's undefeated, and the only time that you guys would meet Arizona would be in the postseason. So right now, it's about locking up the number 2 seed. The number 1 seed, of course, there's still plenty of time to get that. Arizona could slip up. They could take a loss because it's any given weekend in the IFL. But for you guys, in your mind, what is it that's so special about this Iowa Barnstormers team from a quarterback perspective, as far as you guys have been able to really find just about every way to win, despite being down late in the fourth or being down by 17 points or having some miscues? I mean, what would you say is so special about the 2019 Iowa Barnstormers?
Coach William, he always keeps us up. He coaches up throughout the game, even though we're down. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't never think about losing. Like, we always think about winning. So no matter if we're down, we're up. We always keep our foot on the gas. So if offense having a bad day, defense put it out for us. If defense having a bad day, offense put it out for us. And then everybody been here since training camp almost. So we got chemistry. And like I said, like during the game, whoever's not playing as good, the other side steps it up. And, we always try to talk up each other. Let us know, like, at the end of the game, we're going to be on the winning side. And that's how it happens.
So it's not just hold each other, or it's not just a next man up. It's a hold each other up mentality there on the Barnstormers sideline. That's good, man. That's really good. And it shows. It really does show. You guys can go out there, and whether it's Sam Charles that gets a season-ending injury, which I feel for him. He was one of the friendliest guys in Spokane when he played, and I felt that, all the way over here when he went down. But then to lose Hollenbeck for a brief period of time, get him back. I mean, I really didn't think that it was going to be that big of a blow for you guys. And I'm not saying that they're not amazing playmakers. I'm just saying that this team, under the direction of Coach Dixie Wooten, has really been special in its next man up. I mean, it was quarterback last year by an MVP quarterback in Drew Powell, and it looked just as good as it does this year under the new direction of you, Daquan Neal, and you very well could end up being an MVP yourself if you keep on this pace. What's it like to be Daquan Neal?
It's definitely a good feeling, We've been winning, so, I really can't complain. I got great teammates. I got great offense, to help me out. And then, like I said, Coach Wooden and him, we get it in at practice. That helps me out during game day. It make it come easy to me. So, for me right now, it's been great.
Yeah, I imagine so, and you've really stepped up, man. It's been so much fun to watch you play this season. Very entertaining stuff, and like I said, you're the first ever 3-time outstanding player of the week of any side of the ball or any aspect of the game, offense, defense, or special teams. You were the first 2-timer, but you've put up some great numbers. You've been really clutch. And have you assumed the leadership role, or do you just go and just do your job as quarterback?
I'm not really a vocal leader, but, I do lead by example. So I know my teammates, they definitely see when it's time to play, I'm going to step up and put my A game on. And, that's how it goes.
Yeah, it's something that not for everybody, the vocal part, but I will agree 100% that you lead by example out there on the field. So good on you, man. I think that really speaks volumes of not only the Barnstormer organization, but you as an athlete, and a great athlete at that. Now, you guys had a really tough loss against what's becoming a great rival for you guys in the Sioux Falls Storm. Of course, that another game on the road. Your guys' scheduling has not been pretty, but yet somehow in all of it, that that has been your only loss this season, was against one of the best teams in the league. And for you guys to bounce back in a big way on the road again against a team like the Tucson Sugar Skulls, what was the ride home like after that game in Sioux Falls, and what was Dixie's message to you guys when you started getting back to work?
We were definitely disappointed how we lost at the end of the game, but at the same time, we know we lost by 4 points. Everybody played bad. Offense, we had too many turnovers. We didn't finish drives, and we had a lot of penalties also, and that killed us. So even though we lost by 4 points, it was a positive because we know that we didn't even play as half as good as we could play, and we only lost by 4 points. So at the end of the day, when we see them again, we'll be ready. And I don't let it happen again. So.
Yeah, and now you guys will go back home, and you'll play at home. You'll host Cedar Rapids again for the third time this season. Now, May looks like it's going to be a good month to you, at least as far as schedule-wise. You guys are home, it looks like, 3 out of the 4 weeks there. And your only road game, not too far from home, and that's Green Bay, and they're another kind of rival for you guys. But to be at home for a majority of a month, for a good stretch of time in front of your home crowd fans, how important is that to you as a quarterback to be able to go into your own locker room, to be in front of your own fans, and to know that that you've got the crowd on your side?
Right. Definitely, it's a good feeling being at home. You got the fans behind you. You don't have to worry about the other team fans, all in your ear during the drives. You get to rest more. You don't have to travel on the road. It's just a better feeling knowing you have fans at home that help you out during the game. So when you're on the road, it's a tough atmosphere. You got a lot of fans. You got a lot of, traveling. Everybody don't have enough rest. So when you're at home, all those factors, they cancel out.
Yeah, for being on the road as much as you guys have, I feel like you've been playing your best indoor football. Do you feel that you're playing your best football right now?
Definitely. I feel like I've been playing good, but I feel like the best is yet to come.
What would it mean to you to be possibly the IFL MVP again, knowing that just a year ago it was a different Iowa quarterback?
It'll definitely be a high honor of mine. At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, I want to move on from the IFL and possibly play in the NFL. So that's still my long-term goal, but definitely being MVP, that'll be an honor on the way.
Well, I think it's something that you're in the conversation for right now. If pro teams at the CFL or NFL level or even AFL level aren't paying attention to you now, they should be, because they're missing out on some fantastic quarterback play by you in really all aspects of the game, the passing and the running. You have been a man of many talents, and it seems like, maybe intended or not, but when the game is on the line, you have a tendency to put the team on your shoulders. Is that the way you want it, or is that just the way it works out?
That's definitely what it is. If you play quarterback, I feel like you have to be that guy. Like, when the game calls upon you, then you just have to show up. So I definitely like having, a lot of pressure on my back. So when we got to close drives or when we got to come back from a deficit. So yeah, that doesn't really bother me at all. I think if anything, it helps me lock in more.
Well, Dixie and the rest of the guys must be doing something right there, because you guys are off to another fantastic start this season. Still plenty of football left. That number 1 seed, obviously, in your sights. You guys have to just be, you pretty much have to be the same Barnstormers you've been at the beginning of the season and through this first half, and that's playing at a high level and you doing the best job at quarterback that you can. But hey, I know I'm not there in Iowa, but I know how much this portion of the schedule in May means to you. So welcome home. 3 out of the 4 games will be played right there in the well, so I'm sure that's a huge sigh of relief for you and the rest of the guys in that locker room. But hey, man, congratulations again on having such a stellar season so far. Like I said, it's been a lot of fun to watch, and I really appreciate you taking the time today.
Yes, sir. No problem. Anytime.
All right, he is Daquan Neal, quarterback of the Iowa Barnstormers. He's the real deal in our first ever 3-time outstanding offensive player of the week. Daquan, you take care, get some rest, and I look forward to seeing you play again this month.
Thank you, sir.
All right, man, you take care of yourself.
All right.
One more big thank you to Daquan Neal, the quarterback of the Iowa Barnstormers. Always refreshing to hear from a young QB because their job is not easy. I mean, neither is a kicker's, and neither really is any position out there on the football field. But the quarterback, it's like you, by default, have the spotlight placed on you. You're thrust into the leadership role whether you want to be or not. And to continue to perform at an elite level and come out with more wins than losses, more big plays than bad ones, more points than turnovers is incredible to me. It's something that I really can't fathom what that feels like because it's something that I know only certain athletes can relate to, is that feeling that you have the ability to shine and you have to because of the position that you play, the spot that you have been put into, and that's Daquan Neal and the Iowa Barnstormers. They are the reigning champion right now. They have one loss. It was by 4 points, and they had a big comeback win. There's been controversy. There has been heartbreak. There has been triumph. There's been everything in this team, and they're well on their way to going back and defending that title, should it come to that at the end of the season in July of 2019. Postseason first, though. Obviously, you want to get the playoff spots locked up, which we will talk more about that tomorrow evening. And we might even have a few previews of other games and other events coming up. But I believe we covered everything this evening. It was a lot of fun. Daquan Neal was a great chat. And we'll see who is on the show for tomorrow night. We'll probably do a special for the outdoors division. I know Bobby Brown would really like to have me talk to his 3 finalists that will be competing in the Bass Battles Championship this weekend down in Oregon. And yeah, I think that really about covers it. So I was thinking about the question that I asked. I didn't leave much time to have it answered on the chat. But the Streets and the Lions, I say the bigger surprise has got to be the Lions because the bar is already there. You were in last year's championship, and I don't care how much turnover there is on your team. That bar, that expectation is there that if given the right personnel, the coaching staff and otherwise, that you should be able to replicate that same success. The Streets are a surprise, but we've seen this from expansion teams before. We have. So it's not as big of a surprise. I mean, you could say that the championship hangover is alive and well, even in some minor league sports or lesser league sports, I guess you would say, and that's what's happening to the Lions. So maybe that one doesn't surprise you as much as the New York Streets. But still, the Cobras, they were champs last year. They're the reigning champs now. They're 2-0. Jacksonville 1-1. Predators, after a hiatus, after a little bit of time away, they're back. They're 1-2. Does that surprise you? Does that not surprise you? I'd say that doesn't surprise me. That's probably less surprising than the Lions starting out 0-2 because they played each other. They played each other. The team that was in the championship last year should be able to beat a team that's taken some time off. But again, it comes down to staff, the personnel, and the players you put out on that field each and every weekend. And the Predators, I think, have a great squad. I really do. I'm excited for them. We might talk to a few of them in the weeks to come. It'd be a lot of fun, my guys. The brothers Brown, Bert and Rob, the twins of the indoor football world, the Wonder Twins. They're great guys. Always fun to talk to. You need to catch up with them. I will be in Orlando in a couple weeks to visit my campus for a week for the Hall of Fame experience. But unfortunately, there's not a Predators home game while I'm there. And I would just miss him anyway because I will fly back, I believe, Friday. So that will do it for episode 409 of The Fan Show. Follow me on Twitter at Fan Show Official. Instagram is The Fan Show, and Facebook. Give us a like and share our content. Enjoy all the content that we have for you, the fans. Facebook.com/FanShowOfficial. We're on Snapchat as well, but we don't really use it all that much, and that is The Fan Show. And if you can't listen live, which is every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on Spreaker.com, which I suggest you subscribe to or follow so that you can be in the know in case there's the off chance that if you normally can't, and you can, that you can be a part of the live conversation that we have either on the chat on Spreaker or when we do the first portion of the show live on Facebook. It's always a fun and entertaining conversation and interaction with all you guys on there. But if you can't listen live on any of those nights, and it doesn't look like you will be able to in the foreseeable future, then I would suggest subscribing. And guess what? We've got a lot of different flavors to offer for your listening pleasure. And that is Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio. You can subscribe to all or just one, whichever one is your go-to. And then, of course, you can listen on demand, Spreaker.com as well. So that'll do it. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, it's not official unless it's Fan Show official. We are officially out for this Wednesday night. Happy Hump Day, folks. It's been real. Until next time, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners! And remember, of course, it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks!
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his own player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.